All right.
All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we actually have one third of a legendary hip hop trio, man. We got Charlie Rock right here live on the line, man. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm good. What's going on?
I'm doing great, man. I first and foremost want to say, man, I've been a fan of your craft for a very long time, man. So thank you so much in advance for just giving us a bit of your time this evening.
Nah, no doubt, no doubt.
But I know you're a busy guy, Charlie, so I'm going to dive right into this interview, man. But I have to ask you, taking you back to the beginning, man, like what actually made you decide to get into the music industry initially, man? Because your roots run so deep within hip hop.
No, for sure. I mean, I started back in Harlem, man. I started out off as a DJ, man. I was one of those DJs that used to go and throw hip hop parties in the park, connect the electricity to the light posts and all that, and get that crowd going. Me, and of course my partner in crime for Fantasy 3, Larry D. We were out there in the parks, just throwing parties and just getting on the mic and just doing what we love. So that's how I got started.
And also, as well, man, aside from being a DJ as well in the early days, you also produced numerous beats for old school hip hop legend Pumpkin, man. I was wondering, how did yourself and Pumpkin get connected, man? And of course, what was it like being that individual's producer all those years ago?
Man, Pumpkin, man, legendary producer. I mean, we just came across like together from just hanging out, with people like Felix Four and Tito and all of them. That's how I came across Pumpkin. He did a lot of those beats for a lot of those artists back in the '80s, and I just hooked up with him. We went to his crib and hit that 808, and we just started doing beats together and stuff. And that's how I learned. That's how I became a producer, man. All props to Pumpkin, man. He taught me a lot of things, and yeah, that's how I got into it, and I started producing, and yeah, the rest is history.
And I gotta ask, is he still doing his thing today? Like, whereabouts is Bumpkin nowadays?
Nah, Pumpkin unfortunately passed, man, years ago. Back in those days, man, he didn't get to um show his true talent, and if he was alive today, man, he'll be one of the top hip hop producers around, man. That's how good he was, man. But nah, he passed way back then.
I just want to share my condolences, man, and say my sincere apologies for your loss, man. He definitely was such a talented individual, man. So I wouldn't even doubt, man, how big he would be today.
Nah, for sure, he was one of the greats, man. But back in those days, he produced all those artists from the Fearless Four and the Treacherous and all of them, man. He was the man behind those beats.
And also, as well, in the early 1980s, you actually became one third of the Harlem, New York hip hop group, the Fantasy Three. I was wondering, what's the story behind that iconic group? And of course, how did yourself, Larry D, and Silver Fox initially get connected, man? Because you guys literally were the Fantasy Three, man. Such a tremendous group.
Yeah, back then it was like me and Larry D were planning to. I mean, we had this dream, man, that we wanted to cut a record. We went from, of course, the streets, DJing and doing this just for fun. And of course, Tito from the Fearless Four was a real good friend of ours, still is today. And he introduced us to Fox because he knew we wanted to cut a record. Back then Fearless Four came out with a song called "It's Magic," and we used to just roll around with them and see, do all the shows and all that stuff. And he introduced us to Fox. We came together, man, and came up with the name, and we did our thing.
And I gotta say as well, man, like one of my favorite joints that you guys actually put out is still actually classified as a DJ favorite even today, so many years later. But it's your rock. I was wondering if you could tell our listeners a story behind that iconic track, and of course, what was it like just being in the studio recording it with the rest of the guys so many years ago?
Man, it was incredible. I mean, I wish back then we could have recorded that session, man. That's how much fun we had, man. But Fox gets credit, man. He was the lyricist. He's the one that created the lyrics for It's Your Rock. and me and Pumpkin and all that, we were at his house. We were coming up with the beats and all that stuff, and of course we went into the studio and we created it. Fox, of course, penned it and all that, and it was just fun coming together and doing that together, man. Like you said, it was a DJ favorite, and to this day, man, people still talking about it.
And I also noticed as well, I believe in 2017, you guys actually dropped a record. It's one of the most recent Fantasy 3 records, but it's actually titled "It's Your Rock," just like the single was. I was wondering, well, we're just on the topic of It's Your Rock. Like, can you tell our listeners a bit more about this fairly new record that you guys put out? And of course, like, how can we actually snag ourselves a copy?
Yeah, back then, before we broke up, we had went into the studio, me and Fox and Larry, and we cut a lot of the tracks that you're hearing on that album called Shell Rock that was out 2017 were never released. Like, again, we never got to do an album, so I figured, we take all the demos, go back in the studio and master it and put on an album for the fans that we got out there that never got to see us, do an album. I'm sure they heard Fighters in the City and all these other ones, but they never got to see or hear all those other songs that we never got to release. So the 2017 that you're talking about is the album called It's Your Rock. It has all these other songs that were never released. And you can, it's in all the digital platforms. You can catch it on iTunes under It's Your Rock Fantasy 3. And they'll get to listen a lot of the joints that we never got to release, including Biters in the City, Summer, and all those other classic tracks that we released back in the 80s.
And also, as well, I have to ask this before we move off the topic. Do you actually have plans to actually drop any hard copies? Because I know a lot of the listeners of the radio station still love CD formats. Do you actually have plans to do like any vinyls or any hard copies?
Yeah, we're planning. We were planning to do that now this coming new year. We're planning to release some hard copies and re-release Your Rock on vinyl, because there's a lot of people out there, there's a lot of fans out there, especially overseas, that are hitting me up asking for copies like that. So the answer, yeah, we're definitely going to do that. Stay tuned. Also, they're going to be able to copy it on my website, charlierockmusic.com. We're about to put all that together and definitely release it, man, to the fans.
And also, as well, before we move off the Fantasy 3 days, man, you also had the opportunity to tour with LL Cool J. I was wondering, how did that opportunity arise for yourself and the rest of the group? And, of course, what was one of your most fondest memories you actually shared with the legendary Cool J?
Man, Cool J, man, he's incredible, man. He started off, Fox took him under his wing, too, man, and took him to all these clubs in Harlem and really sort of like taught him the way, man, showed him how to put everything together, and then, LL Cool J became as big as he is now, man. So Fox gets a lot of credit, man, but we hung out with Al back in the Fantasy 3 days in Harlem, and we hung out together, and then when he became who he was, we also, Russell Simmons had taken us, not only Al, but Run DMC, and a lot of those old school rappers from back in the days, and we used to go on tour and do all the clubs in the cities and stuff like that. So yeah, it was something special, man. And it's great to see where Al is today. You know what I'm saying? So props to Al and all that. But the experience was incredible. He's a good dude, man, and all the success he has is well deserved.
And obviously, you guys knew LL Cool J right even before he got famous, like right at the beginning of his career. So when you first heard LL Cool J spit his rhymes, did you actually think he would be as big as he is today when you first heard him?
Oh, yeah, man. He was special back then. You can tell that he was going to be big, man. And, he was focused, man. He was focused. He was out there grinding, trying to get deals, man. Unfortunately for us, man, we had people around us that that wasn't really looking out for us as far as Fantasy 3, We should have been really big as well, and sometimes I feel like we don't get credit where it's deserved, man, because we did a lot for hip-hop, back in the 80s, and sometimes they forget, you know what I'm saying? They forget what we did to hip-hop, So that being said, man, I feel like we're one of those underrated groups and shit. Especially Fox as well. He's an incredible rapper. But us as Fantasy 3 as a group, we were underrated, man, and we don't get the props that we deserve. But we're still around. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm still releasing the old school stuff and the new stuff we have. But yeah, I'm glad that we're doing this so like that people know that we're still around and we deserve to be treated like all these other old school rappers because we made a mark back then. You know what I'm saying? Like we did a mark. We have a lot of hits that should be recognized, man, and that we did make a mark on hip hop, and we should be recognized for that.
And also, as well, September 19th of 1994, yourself and an amazing female artist by the name of Giggles released the song titled Memories. I was wondering, how did yourself and her get connected? And of course, what was it like working it with her in the studio? Because she has such a phenomenal singing voice.
Yeah, like from Fantasy 3, I made the transition to do other music again. I'm a writer producer, so I started doing dance music. And what I added to my dance music when it comes to Giggles, yeah, she had an incredible hit back then. When I came into, started producing for her, I wanted to add a hip hop element to all my tracks, all my dance tracks. So if you listen to Memories, you can tell it has a hip hop feel to the beat, and that's what I brought to that freestyle genre. And yeah, and what goes around comes around, which was a huge hit for Giggles back in the early '90s, and of course Memories now is making some noise. But yeah, I mean it was a great feeling, coming together with her and producing and writing for her, and yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And I'm gonna continue to write and produce, and also keep that hip hop element to everything that I produce.
And I was wondering as well, does yourself and Giggles, do you guys still work together, or was that just kind of like a thing you guys did together back in the '90s?
No, we're still working together. As a matter of fact, I just finished her new song. It should be dropping in October, being mixed and all of that. So, but yeah, no, we're still working together. We got a new song coming out early October, and it's gonna be a smash, man. It's really a great song, and I can't wait to release it.
And also as well, you actually have your own label titled Charlie Rock Entertainment. I was wondering, what made you actually decide to start up your own label, and of course, who is currently signed under your imprint today?
Well, Giggles is signed to my imprint, Charlie Rock. Well, it's Charlie Rock Production now. And I got some upcoming artists that I'm working with right now, and I'm also dropping my album that should be released and before the year ends. So I just finished all my songs, so we're excited, and I'm working on the Giggles album. The single drops in October, and her album will be coming out early 2022.
And I got to say as well, you have a phenomenal company. And I was wondering with the productions, if any individuals that are listening that are serious about their craft, of course, that actually want to have the legendary Charlie Rock actually produce their project, like how do individuals go about submitting their music to hopefully get you on the production of their single or record?
Yeah, I'm always looking for that, that raw talent, definitely, man, that I can build on, and so. Yeah, they can send any through CharlieRockMusic.com or go to CharlieRockMusic@gmail and send me what they have, and I will contact them. Yeah, I'm always looking for talent, so yeah, CharlieRockMusic.com for sure.
And also, as well, aside from the music industry, you are actually also a screenplay writer. I have to ask you, what made you actually decide to venture into the movie aspect of the entertainment industry? And of course, what screenplays have you actually written so far?
Well, I have some screenplays in development right now that I have some producers looking into. But no, writing in general, man. To me, writing, I'm just a writer first. I love writing, so I have the stories from back in Harlem, stuff that I went through, the hustle and all that, and also in the music game and all. So I got some scripts being developed right now as far as stories that, you know, it's part of my life that I live through and stuff. So I got some scripts and I got some new scripts that I've written and stuff. And Hollywood is the next, is the next step, man. I want to produce TV and some films, and I'm doing that. As soon as I'm done with these albums, I'm going to be working on some TV projects, man. So yeah.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, man, I'm looking forward to actually seeing Charlie Rock Productions just actually up on that screen, man. Because I really think, you know what I mean. I'm excited because I know you're phenomenal and very talented at what you do, man. So I can only imagine what movies you're gonna bring to the table, man. And I'm definitely excited.
Nah, thank you, man. Yeah, that's the next venture, man. Do some films and TV and things like that. Like I said, I got a story to tell. A lot of them, I've been penning it down and getting it ready and getting it, produced and all that, so we can put it on the big screen.
And also, your latest release is actually titled I'm That Guy, that I'm actually going to be playing immediately after this interview right here on the radio station airwaves. And I was wondering if you can tell our listeners what can they expect from this phenomenal song if they haven't already done so already, and of course, where can they snag themselves a copy today?
Yeah, it's in every digital platform. This song right here, I'm That Guy, just came out months ago. Right now, we just got added to 3 major stations in California and the Midwest, and we're just starting to do different mixes on there. So besides the single, there'll be additional mixes added pretty soon, and of course, we're going to be shooting the video. So I'm excited about this new single. Like I said, this is actually the single that's going to be introducing the album. And yeah, this is a great song. I feel like this is going to be the one opening the doors for the new style of music that I'm bringing.
And I gotta say, I actually had the opportunity to actually, I've been vibing to this for the past couple weeks, man. I gotta say, this is absolutely phenomenal, man. So the listeners that haven't already heard this, if you like it, make sure you add it to your favorite Spotify playlist and help run these numbers up, man, because this is a phenomenal song.
Sure, man. Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Like I said, man, I'm trying to bring some new flavor to the new style of music that I'm trying to, bring out my new fans and my old fans, man. Because like I said, I'm still continuing to write and produce. Like I'm just finished, finishing up my album. I'm working on the Giggles album, so I got a lot of new material coming out, man. So I appreciate the fans out there and my old fans that are still, following me and things like that, man. So I really appreciate it.
And also, I have to ask as well, Charlie, what is next for you? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during this interview? Anything else you still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still have you here live on the Canadian airwaves this evening.
For sure. Besides the music, man, I'm a concert promoter. I'm doing big events, arena type of events. Like I bring old school concerts to the Florida area. My next event is November 13th. I got Big Daddy King, Tone Low, Rob Bass. I'm throwing in Color Me Bad. Like I'm mixing, all the 80s and the 90s. And it's a big event at the Silver Spurs Arena. It's actually in the stadium. It's a huge festival. It's that old school flavor hip hop festival. And that's November 13th in Orlando at the Silver Spurs Arena. But yeah, a lot of people don't know that I also, produce concerts, hip hop concerts, and yeah, so definitely want people to be aware of that. And I'm doing a 5-city tour for the 80s and 90s rewind. So look out for that.
I saw that as well on your Facebook, man. That lineup is absolutely phenomenal as well. You even got Young MC, man, the individual that made that classic hit "Bust a Move."
Yeah, like I said, I want to bring all those old school hip hop artists together, man, that a lot of people never got to see, and do a little mixture, besides the old school hip hop, bring some '90s R&B. And some freestyle in there and just mix it all together because no one else is doing it, man. So I want to just keep old school alive, whether it's through music, if not, definitely through concert events.
And I gotta say, if you don't mind me asking quickly, like, is tickets available right now? And if so, where can our listeners actually go to snag themselves some tickets if that 5-city tour is actually coming to their area?
Absolutely. They can just go to Ticketmaster.com and just, put the 80s and 90s rewind, and they'll see all the tickets and what cities we're going to be hitting next. The first one, like I said, is November 13th at the Silver Spurs Osceola Heritage Park, and it's actually going to be in the stadium, so it's an outdoor event. And yeah, the lineup is sick, man, and we just added Snap into the lineup, man. So
oh damn, that's major. But ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right here. Make sure you heard it right here from the man himself. So either you get it or you most definitely will regret it, because these tickets are going to go fast.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, everyone's talking about it, man. So yeah, you can get it now at Ticketmaster.com, the 80s and 90s rewind.
But Charlie, before we wrap things up, man, this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to give like shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, but most of all your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything Charlie Rock if they're not already doing so.
Yeah, you can catch the original Charlie Rock on Facebook, Mr. Charlie Rock on Instagram. And again, go to my website. That's where I'm going to put up the Fantasy 3 CDs and vinyl, where you can get it. It will be available on CharlieRockMusic.com soon. And yeah, again, all my concert events, just go to any of my pages, man, and you'll see all the info there.
And I got to say, first and foremost, Charlie, thank you so much for just giving us a little bit of your time this evening, man, and coming on the 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM airways, man. It definitely was an honor and most definitely a privilege, man, to interview such a talented, legendary individual like yourself, man. It definitely was an honor. Thank you so much.
Nah, thank you. I appreciate it. Sure.
Most definitely, man. Thank you so much, Charlie, and definitely have yourself a wonderful night.
You too, brother. 1-1.